Hello.
Hello, hello, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Very well, very well. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for taking the time to talk with us here at Shutter 16 today.
No, my pleasure, my pleasure. I love doing these things. It's so cool.
Well, let's dive right in. I wanted to go right to the beginning just for a little bit and kind of tell me how you and James first got together and how Mason Hill kind of first got started.
Yeah, well, I mean, James's musical story started a wee bit before mine. He was in England originally, in Derby, I'm sure, as a young kind of kid, like 9, 10, kind of getting really, really good at guitar. And I was in Glasgow, Scotland, where not a care in the world about music at that point. And I got to high school, maybe second year, our first ever music class. James's circumstances had led him to move from Derby all the way up to Glasgow. That was obviously a scary time for him at that age, but we kind of clicked. There was something about it. I remember we were all in just like a line, kind of go with the guitar, and everyone but James was just awful because it was like our first game, and we're all just young and we don't know what a chord is, and he just starts whipping out all these chords and solos in between them. We all just kind of look and like, oh, ooh, fancy. But no, like we just sort of clicked from there. I was smart enough to see that this guy was good on guitar, and at that point, I wanted to do something music. I didn't know I wasn't a singer, so we kind of stuck with the music, became friends, closer, went through maybe kind of 3 odd bands, and then that's when I started to sing because there was just no other singers around. It was like that sort of scenario, and I was the best of the worst, if you know. At time in my life. So we went with that. We formed a band called Black Velvet. Not the best name in the world, but it kind of got us our first taste of professionalism. Not us, we entered a battle of the bands that was for European countries, and we were humbled enough to win Scotland at that age, which we were so ecstatic about. It was unbelievable. We just had a good run. We were all happy together and feeling it. But the final of the whole event was in London, and we were to go up against all the other winners of all the other European countries. So there was about 30 other bands there, and we came in last. We travelled down London. We done awful. We were put in front of 2,000 people. It was a massive place. And we just froze, I guess. We just weren't ready for this. We weren't ready to compete against bands who are probably at the stage I'm at now, but that was back then, maybe 9 years ago. So, that showed us that we had really had to step up, and we really had to kind of get our act together. And that was essentially the start of Mason Hill. We started again, me and James. We had to find a drummer. We luckily found Craig through an internet ads. It was just like so random, to be honest. He came into a studio. We didn't really like each other, but there was no else. I'm not just saying that. He will agree the exact same. He wasn't a fan. But there was no one else, and in his life there was obviously no one else as well. So we just kind of went for it, and then that was that. It was the 3 of us for a while. Matthew, the bass player, he was around. He was like he's a couple of years older than us. He'd been around in bands. You knew of Matthew if you were like a young kind of Scottish band. He was in a band called Attica Rage that were bigger than us. And he was just nice. We'd done a gig. He offered his services to us. Like, if you ever need help without getting out of a sticky situation, just let me know. We did need help getting out of a sticky situation, and he kind of just never left. And that's Matthew in. And up until that point, I was playing the guitar and singing. And singing is my passion now, but guitar is, I'm not the best person placed to be a guitar player in a professional band at that stage. And we felt like, right, get Scott off the guitar, see what he can do on his own, nothing stopping him, be a front man. And we needed someone, and Mark came in through a sort of friends with James, and again just slotted right in, and we've never had to think again. And that was the 5 of us finally together. And after, like, individually, 10 years of kind of just maybe wandering about trying to get into this kind of unit, all of us, and we finally are here. And, you know, cut to 7 years later and a lot of shows and a lot of sadness and a lot of triumph. And we finally brought an album out.
Yeah. So let's talk about Mason Hill, the name. Is there any significance behind that? I'm not from, I'm from the United States. Is that a place or is it random? Tell me about that.
It's random. It was at a point when before Craig came in, and we'd just get back from getting our asses beat at this festival. So we were like, okay, we need like a new name. We need something cool. And we had a name called the Stonewall Bandits. That was going to be our name. And in hindsight, not the best name. It's a bit long. It's a bit just not right. And we weren't completely happy. So we were having a few drinks at a famous pub in Glasgow, the Solid Rock Cafe, and magazine in front of us, having a laugh. We'll find the name in this. So I'll open up the magazine, and the way the two kind of pages were advertised, on one side, really, really big, bold, Dr. Mason, then goes on to talking about something to do with some sort of health piece. I can't remember that. And on the other side, the hills of Scotland, but the word hill was dramatic and big and bold and black. And it's just the kind of way it looked in the paper. It was Dr. Mason Hill. So I just kind of, we slashed the doctor off because that was a bit strange, and Mason Hill.
Boom, there you go.
Yeah, does anyone hate it? No, and that's why it stayed, because no one hated it.
So let's talk about the album and kind of get into that a little, because it's just blowing up, right? I mean, come on, with the charts. I mean, you're up there, doing things like Greta Van Fleet, Royal Blood. I mean, this is crazy, right?
I stupidly, when they told us that fact, we were like, what?
So tell us a little bit about how this album came together. Now, what's your process for writing it, and in the studio? How did you kind of get the job done?
Yeah, well, it's unique in the way that like some of these songs are from day one of songwriting for me and James up until the very last day of the album getting recorded, and essentially we'll never write another album like that again, because
right.
we can't take out, it takes up maybe 12 years of our life. Like, as teenagers first experimenting, songs like Where I Belong, Out of Reach, Broken Sun were first conceived, and my first ever house in this tiniest flat when I was 17, and not knowing what to do in the world, and me and James were just at night just making these rubbish songs that eventually kind of got better and better. And it's the way it's kind of went from that, is that James usually kind of conceives some sort of kind of musical idea. He plays that thing non-stop, and so no wonder. And I've been known to kind of go into the music a bit myself for certain things, but I'm more stick to the vocals and lyrics. And that's kind of worked for us. There's been a few times in our life where we've really pressed ourselves to write new stuff, even if it wasn't the best, but to get into the way of being able to work to like a deadline in a way. We for 6 months we wrote 2 new songs a week during this process, just to see what because we had to have a catalog that we could choose between and throw away, and not be hampered by needing 12 songs but only having 12 songs. And so once these ideas are kind of conceived in these really, really bad demo qualities, that's when we get to go into the studio and interact with the guys, and that's when the songs change again, and they evolve into what we've not thought about. It's the best way about having 5 guys on it, and it's good for them that they get to come in and criticize like a full piece, you know what I mean, and not just 20 seconds here or there. And we get to just work together and get to the point where everyone's comfortable playing their part and adding their influence, and making sure that when you hear a Mason Hill, when you hear the drums in a Mason Hill song, it's Craig. When you hear the bass, it's Matthew. Everyone has to have their unique edge.
Yeah.
But that's the way it's went, and I feel like I don't think we're going to change it much. Everyone's really into songwriting, and we're just in a kind of situation where the best wins, because we reject 90% of all our own ideas. Do you know what I mean? in the top 10%. So, and I feel like everyone in the band's got the potential to write that 10% song, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome. But now, a little over a year ago, everything changed because of the pandemic, right? So here you are, you're probably looking to get this album together and get it out, and then you were probably like, wow, okay, now what? And some bands kind of laid low, some bands put themselves out even further, and you guys really kind of did a great job at taking it to a whole new level with social media and live streams and things like that. And what do you think were some of the things that you did that were most successful at kind of getting the hype up about the album? Because it's hard when you can't get out there in person.
Yeah, it was extremely hard. And something that helped us as well is this was our first time doing it, so we didn't know of the way to do it. This was our first time. Whatever way we done it was going to be our way of doing it, and I feel like that's kind of that kind of just left all stress out of us of like, oh, is it going to be like last time or whatever, because we had no idea, and we just went for it. And we're growing up in a world where like YouTubers and like streamers are kicking right off, and I feel like we all looked at the ways that they've kept their kind of activity going throughout, no matter what, pandemic or not pandemic, because it's always there for people in the house. And the management put together such an amazing social media team to drive us with ideas of getting as much content out as we could, just being relevant, keeping in people's faces, music, non-music related, being there, being friendly, thanking people, getting people motivated, trying to get the silent Mason Hill fan out there speaking, because we'd been going for 7 years doing a lot of shows with no product. And how many people seen us 4 years ago and forgot about us because they never had the chance to buy the album because we had none. It was like a few push to try and get like this sort of people power thing, and I can't believe it worked. I honestly cannot believe it worked, and I'm so happy and thankful everyone that got on board. I genuinely, we could not have dreamed for a better hope after so long and like so many setbacks. Like this album was crowdfunded because of like bad stuff we'd went through like 5 years ago. We got out, we parted ways with labels, we had no money, we had to get this album funded, and that was the scariest thing we'd ever done. And we personally hated crowdfunds. We never wanted to be one of those people that done one, and we had to set aside that ego and pride and just pray that there was enough people that wanted to hear the album, and there was, and we hit our target within like 2 days. And there was people, I mean, probably predominantly from Britain because we're such a small band at that time, but, whoever it was around the world, like, again, the band owe a massive, massive thanks, because without them, this album wouldn't be here.
Absolutely. And it's a terrific album. And I think today, more so than ever, you just have to put yourself out there, because things, even before the pandemic, they're different. It's not like back in the day where you get a label and you can just kind of depend on them to promo you and play shows and you're all good and people buy records and things like that, because it's just different nowadays. I'm a little bit old school, older. So when I grew up, you waited in line to get your ticket for the show, and it was an actual ticket. It was a paper ticket that you could keep, and you went to the record store and you bought the album. But now with so many different media out there and so many different ways of people to access it, I think the more you do, the better it is. And I think you guys just did a killer job, and it shows. And then you have to top it with this great album that you guys put out, because without that, you could hype it up as much as you want, but if the product's not there for the people, if it's not good, people aren't going to pay any attention. Yeah. So this album, it's just, I love the vibe, because it's classic to me. It's got that classic rock feel, and I'm 70s and 80s girl, so that's right up my vibe. But it's fresh. Anybody could listen to it. It fits in today with modern world. Now, you've got a lot of videos that are popping out, and I wanted to ask you before we talk about the video, because for lack of a better word, because I don't know how to explain it, I've been thinking all day, what is the word that I want to use to ask him this, because I still don't know, but I'm going to call it a symbol, because that's all I can say. Tell me about the face with the X's on the mouth. It's on, you got this little face on Craig's drum. It's in a lot of the videos. So let's talk a little bit about that. Who came up with that and what's the meaning behind all that? If there is one.
Yeah, well, see, with this album, like, so sadly the bad side of the dark times of Mason Hill, we can't legally talk about, and that is our message. That is our representation of that. That we've been put up against our backs were put up against the wall. We can't speak about it. Just believe us that it's been rough, but we're here. We're persevering. We're going to come out of the better, and that's the message we've tried to kind of put into not only the imagery but also the kind of the lyrical kind of feel of the song, of putting in the hard times but ending on the good, because that's the way we like to see. That's the way I like to see the world, whether it's naive or not. And it's just that's the kind of message. But I didn't want it to be too central into our issues, and I wanted it to be open and kind of universal. Like, one of the things I grew up with was Pink Floyd, and I always loved the album The Wall because I was able to put my own meaning to that, no matter what the writer's intention was. It was very open interpretation, but strong enough to kind of hit the point. So that, in a way, we've kind of tried to do that sort of, we hope you can put your issue into this album and come out the other side feeling better about it.
Cool. So now, like with the video with DNA, I know you've got some people that teamed up with you with Strange Boat to get it done, but how involved is the band, I guess, in the creative process with the videos? Are you guys coming up with the ideas and kind of seeing them come to light through the production company?
Yeah, we were heavily. It was a collaboration, definitely. And Matthew, the bass player, he was very visual, and he was very kind of loud during the kind of talks of the videos Against the Wall and DNA in particular. From the get go, I'm not the most visual person in that regards. I wasn't the most vocal there, but it was kind of figured out early on that we wanted this UV paint. We wanted to kind of dress up as in UV paint and jump about, but we wanted these contact lenses just to try and kind of create this feel of being like, we've never had the chance to do this. We've always kind of done things very kind of low budget and very just get to the max that we could, but we're with these kind of really good people. We wanted to try and kind of test our imagery and see how creative we could be and dynamic in a video set, and with having kind of really good people to work with. I think personally it's came out really well. There's a few scenes that even I'm about, oh, that's cool. They really kind of done that well. They made us look good. That's impressive. Make us look good. That's awesome.
And it's very cool. I love the video. I liked them all, but I really like the imagery in DNA. It's very cool the way it was done. So let's talk a little bit about what's coming up next. I read that you have a cover coming out soon, Foo Fighters. The Best of You, is that still going to be a go for this Friday release?
Yes, yep. I have not been told otherwise. We're still going strong for it. We're so excited to do this. It's one of our favorite bands, one of our favorite songs. Where we thought long and hard about it, but we felt it was right. Like, I don't know if it's like people get the wrong idea, but like, see, as a band, we rarely play covers. Like, even jamming or anything like that. We're just always original. But every now and again, there's just a song kind of creeps in that we just think feels right with the band, and feel like we can do our best to kind of pay tribute to that song. And I feel like Best of You, like we've gave our best attempts with it. We're really happy with the outcome. It's nothing on the original. It's too good. But we can give it our best go. I'm really, really happy with it, and I hope people enjoy it when they hear it.
I'm sure they will. I look forward to hearing that on Friday when it comes out. Now, things are starting to look up a little bit in certain places around the world. And I know you've got this UK tour booked, going into, I think, September. Does that look like it's going to happen at this point?
As of right now, we have not been told otherwise. Okay. And like, we can't, you can't base things. We don't know yet, but
sure.
the tickets are selling well, which is kind of showing that, you know, the public might be, you know, they're ready. I mean, I can't speak for all 66 million people in the country, obviously, but
Right.
you know, thousands that are buying. Like we're seeing that there might be they're eager, we're ready. We feel like the world may be getting to the place where it's safe to do this again. I know it's not the same atmosphere it was 6 months ago here, but you know, so fingers crossed. We feel like it's good. Our biggest UK tour to date, 20 odd dates. I forget it's that many. I think it's close to 30 now. And we just can't wait to get all over the country and to finally play shows where people have the album. Like that was always our challenge. Was, you know, no one could ever know the words to our songs because they had nowhere to go. We just had to try and win you with that 25 minutes that we had supporting this band that have 3 albums out that you've came to see and sing their songs, you know, and I can't wait for people to have it and be able to sing along.
I think it's going to be awesome for you guys. I really do, because the demand for live music, I know here in the States, there are a few states that have opened up to the extent where there's shows happening, you know, to some level anyway. And there's some big festivals that are still supposedly going to happen. And people are just ready to bust out, and they're just ready to bust out of their shell and get out there and enjoy what we've been missing for so long. And I know I'm one of them. I can't wait. So I hope that the tour goes so well for you guys, because I would love it. And I'd love to see you guys. So maybe it's a little selfish reasons too that I want it to go so well, because I would love for you guys to hop on a tour and get over here on this side of the ocean and hit us with one of the festivals here. We'd love to see it. I mean, I know you guys would do fantastic at one of the US festivals here. I think the crowd would just really eat up this album, and you'd just get a whole new level of fans from it.
You're too nice. Honestly, you're too nice. It's a goal we're trying to get over as we speak. But you know, first things first, we need to be out and play in our own country. If we can do that, see how that goes. We are looking into all these options because America in particular has been picking up a wee bit in terms of like wanting to talk to us, and for instance, and picking up over it, which is so cool. It's just so cool. We're so happy. It's incredible. Thank you. You know, anyone that's listening, that's like listen to the songs, you know, from a guy 3,500 miles away. Thank you so much. It's so cool.
It's awesome. I really enjoy the album, and I think that the tour is going to go well. And I know you've done some pretty big shows over the years. You know, you've been doing it for a while, but like you said, to have the music and something that they can latch onto and hold on to after the show is so important, and to be able to have access to that. So I think it's just going to really blow up.
Thank you so much. I think you're right. I mean, just in the short, we've seen more listeners come into our band in the last month than maybe the last 4 years of our life, and we're so thankful. And it's I don't believe the numbers, to be honest. When I see the reports, I don't believe them. Someone must be lying to me, because it's so crazy. And again, we're just kind of taking this. We didn't expect this. Like I always say to people, like we hit number 19 in the UK album charts, and we hit number 1 in the rock charts. We were told we'd be lucky to hit the top 100 in any charts. Like that's what we were told. This was an independent release. This was just us and our management just going for it, just doing what we could and trying to get so many people motivated. And we like beat every target, like even the unrealistic ones. And it was so just thank you, everybody. Like, thank you. I don't know what to say.
You're quite welcome. I mean, it's amazing. And I think that it's the pandemic aside, because I know it's been horrible for so long for so many people, but coming out of it, I think it puts you in just a perfect position to be in the spot that your band is in right now, because people are so eager and so hungry for something new. And I think rock fans in particular are just jumping at the bit, and they're going to eat it up. So now that the album is done, you know, we've got that out, you've got videos out, you've got this cool cover coming out, and I think that's going to be super cool as well. And the UK tour, which I certainly hope is everything's good and everything's able to happen with that.
Me too.
What's coming up next after that? What do you think is coming up down the road for Mason Hill?
Well, we're looking into new music straight away. We're already on the writing board with that. We're kind of well on the way, actually. The ideas are flowing about right now. And basically we are going to try and keep the momentum going. We see a surge in music for the next few years after getting over such a massive kind of ordeal. You know, the same we're looking at, like, the same as most things in life. If they go down, they usually come up for a good period and then settle out in the middle. So we're going to try and take advantage of this kind of, hopefully this surge of kind of people going back to shows that maybe stopped going to shows a while ago because it maybe wasn't the same scene that they were used to. You know, we're looking forward to hopefully a scene reminiscent of the 80s in a way where, you know, think about it, once it's all gone back to normal, there'll be a show every night in most cities around the world. You know, there'll be people wanting to see that because they've not had access. So I feel like we're just going to take advantage of that. We're going to release new music and get as far out. We're going to Europe, definitely. We're going to hit a lot of countries there. And the kind of upper end of that is hopefully trying to see the States after that, by maybe jumping on a support tour or something like that to get us into kind of few states first and see what the reception is. And we're just so... It feels weird even saying that, to be fair, but it's really exciting and it's cool and we're ready to go.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you for taking the time to talk with us today. I hope that everybody who checks this out on Shutter 16 takes the time to listen to the new album, Against the Wall. It's very cool. I'm sure they're going to love it. And we look forward to what you've got coming up.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much, Scott. Have a great day.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.